When a death happens, a person has to be pronounced dead by a doctor at a hospital, at a nursing home or a skilled nursing facility, or by hospice. However, if they die at home, unattended, not in hospice care, the family needs to call the local authority, the police or the sheriff, to register an at-home death. So when the death does happen, you need to contact your preferred funeral home. It's also called a mortuary, and some have a crematory on site. It's the mortuary funeral home that prepares the death certificate. This process takes about 3 to 4 business days. Once that death is registered, then the county issues a disposition permit. So the family is going to meet with an arrangement counselor to sit down and talk about what kind of services they're looking for. There are a lot of forms that are required by the state of California that need to be signed by the legal next of kin. So that would be the spouse, that would be the children, whatever line of kinship.
大家好，今天想跟大家分享一下，当亲人离别后，接到殡仪馆，接着程序会如何走。接到殡仪馆之后，殡仪馆会主动打电话给家人，约时间进来做一个会谈。那做这个会谈的时候，我们要准备几样东西。第一就是社会安全卡，这个社会安全卡可以是拷贝或者是原件都行。因为当人走了之后，殡仪馆是需要去社会安全局去进行销户，并且申请所有的文件，下葬证、火化证、死亡证等等。那这些名字跟社会安全卡的号码必须要一模一样才可以进行下去的。第二，要准备一张化妆用的相片。当我们帮往生者去进行化妆穿衣服的时候，我们要有个参考物。所以呢，一般家人会拿一张最漂亮或最帅的相片给我们做一个参考去化妆。第三呢，是帮过生人准备衣服。一般来说，当一个人走了之后，他体液还会从不同的地方流出来，并且有可能在搬运过程中把衣服弄脏，所以我们都会建议家人带一套新的衣服给过生人去换的。第四，就是要准备过生人的父母的名字以及他们的出生地，这个呢会在将来的死亡证上面显示。
One of the first things I'm going to ask the family when I get a death call is, what is your religion? We also need to talk about body preparation. So are we going to do embalming? It's a procedure that is surgical. So it's injecting high index of formaldehyde that helps to preserve the body. Are we going to do sanitary care, which is washing and disinfecting? If there was an autopsy report performed by the hospital or by a county coroner, then are we going to do autopsy repair or preparation or any dressing? And what is the body disposition? Are we going to do burial, cremation, or are we shipping to another country or another state?
In order to clothe someone, to be able to prepare them for a viewing, you have to do one of two things. You have to wash and disinfect the body, clothe them, and then keep them under refrigeration until the time of the service. Or you have to embalm them. Embalming acts as a preservative, but it also can offer enhancement. And this is where we have to be sensitive and understand sometimes the particular needs of the family at this time. Embalming can offer some enhancement for appearance. For example, it can add fullness to the features. And I always want to find out, and especially if I don't know by the time I'm meeting with the family what the loved one has passed away from, especially when I find out that they've had cancer. Cancer can be it can take a lot, deplete the body of a lot. They lose a lot of weight and they get very sunken features and things like that. Embalming can actually fill that out more so that how they looked when they were feeling a lot better, obviously. And this can be comforting to the family.
Is it going to be a funeral, a witness cremation, a burial, a celebration of life? There's so many choices to be made. So families need to be really thinking about this a little bit ahead of time. So with a funeral, a witness cremation, or a celebration of life, the family needs to determine the date, the time, and the place. Traditionally, Catholics would have their final funeral service at our church, which is where we have a mass. Some other religions, like Lutheran or Episcopalian, would also have the funeral taken care of at their church, so the body and the casket is going to church. However, with other religions, they're done here at the funeral home.
Have you ever experienced one funeral service, the family request for more than one religion, Richard?
And that is in today's society, that could be very prevalent. When they gather here at the funeral home for the service, they have one of the religious leaders will speak there. Then when they go out to the cemetery, they'll perhaps have the other one speak out there. So it gives a balance there. And then it's not too confusing for the people there, because you might have two people get to speak and it could be very confusing to listen to, because it could be presenting some very different ideas. So a good way to do it is to be able to separate them, but make sure that both are feeling that they're both being taken care of and they're both being honored.
A lot of times families are asking us to provide audio and visual for a slideshow or video. And we also offer live streaming. So if somebody can't be here at the service or live in another country or another state, they can watch the service either at the time of the service or at their own time. And sometimes people want to do a reception, a food or beverage service following the funeral, and they could do it at the funeral home or another venue. Families also want to look at doing service programs, memorial folders, or prayer cards. A lot of the Christian religions, the churches will help them with the service program, but we here at the funeral home can also help with those. So once a person is cremated, people call them ashes, but I prefer to call them cremated remains because they're not ashes. It's actually bone. So once the body is cremated, the cremated remains are actually bone. And then California law states that I cannot give back to the family something that looks like human remains. They have to be processed, so it becomes crumbled and it looks like sand. And so people think that's ashes, but actually a lot of families would like to take their cremated remains and have them personally with them. So sometimes people want to turn them into a semi-precious stone. They want to have them incorporated into glass to make a glass sculpture. They want to put them into a piece of jewelry. We have small little urns for keepsake containers. I mean, there's so many different options that people can do with cremated remains that would actually be, a loving memory of your loved one.
最后呢，就是安装墓碑以及设计墓碑。在这里再跟大家分享一下，基本上人走了之后有两种的处理方法，一种就是火化，一种就是土葬。土葬的话，顾名思义就是整个大体，大体是不能够埋在自己家后院的，必须要放在墓园。那在墓园的选择有 above ground 或者 below ground。above ground 就是在地的上面，我们一般讲这种叫做 wall creep 临墙，临墙有选择室内或者室外。另外一个呢就是 below ground。below ground 的话也有很多不同的选择，大概来说可以选择那夫妻的一块地2个人，或者是一块地1个人，大家平排。那火化方面呢，就选择会比较多一点点，因为火化之后只有一个很小的骨灰坛。骨灰坛呢有几个选择，首先我们可以带回家，第二可以撒海，第三也可以放在墓园。有些人呢喜欢立一个牌位，有些人呢就只是说每一次纪念的时候可能去面对大海。那最后一种呢，就是把骨灰坛还是放到墓园。这一个呢是我最建议大家的哦。为什么呢？其实墓园呢提供一个很重要的一个功能，就是给大家一个地方去怀念我们的亲人。怀念完之后回到家，我们有正常的生活。其实死亡每个人都会经历，有亲人之走都会经历，可是重点就是我们怎么去面对以及怎么去处理。那如果是把骨灰坛放在一个地方，或者大体放在墓园里面，当我们伤心想怀念的时候，我们可以直接去到墓园去抒发我们的感情，哭啊想啊都行。可是当我们离开墓园之后，我们还是要面对我们现在的生活， 所以呢，我是建议大家，如果是在火化之后，骨灰坛还是能够放在墓园会比较好。最后呢，我想跟大家讲一讲呢，不管你是火化还是土葬，我还是建议大家尽量把这个事情预先规划好。
我父亲是在1992年去世的，所以我知道要在非常短的时间内操办一场体面的葬礼。在伤心难过的情况下，我们有可能会情绪化的超支消费，因为总想为我们的心爱的家人多做些什么，多花点钱，务必把葬礼办得风风光光、体体面面的。在花费有可能大大的超出预算，那么如何可以避免在哀伤时因情感而超支消费呢？其实我们可以在亲人还在世的时候提早了解他们的意愿。那如何可以与我们的家人探讨这个话题呢？我们可以从对他们来说什么是最重要的开始，问问他是希望土葬或者是火化，再来是问问他心目中的理想告别仪式是怎么样的，也可以分享一下你自己的理想仪式告别仪式是怎么样。棺木通常是影响葬礼价格的重要部分之一，要是可以知道我们亲人对棺木的要求，可以帮助我们做出适当的决定。最理想的情况就是把一切相关事情预先知道，预先规划好，不用等到亲人去世后才做这些事情。这就是避免因为情感而过度消费的最理想的方式。现在让我们来探讨一下有预先规划和没有预先规划的差异。当亲人过世时，我们没有预先规划的话，我们临时需要决定将我们所爱的人交给哪一家殡仪馆或者墓园。之后我们需要去墓地，或者说是选择灵骨塔位，安排面谈，之后还有很多的选择，这些都是非常耗时的一些决定。如果预先规划有做好的话，情况相对来说会比较容易很多。亲人往生后可以直接联系之前已经选好的殡仪馆或者墓园，因为大部分的决定已经在预先规划的时候选好了，所以主要是要签署很多的一些文件，然后就可以安排仪式，或者说决定一些时间、地点等等就可以了。希望这些资讯对大家来说有帮助。